Good evening, everybody. Happy 4th of July to everybody. We thank you all for sharing part of your 4th of July celebration with us this evening. We're very, very honored to have as our special guest tonight presidential candidate and former governor of New Mexico, Governor Gary Johnson, a real patriot. He has a lot to say. He can only spend a little time with us. I don't want to waste any time. We can talk later. Let's get Governor Johnson on the line right away. Good evening, Governor Johnson.
Well, John, it's great to be with you, and I really appreciate your activism when it comes to fair tax. I really think that the fair tax reboots the American economy for the next 100 years, if not beyond, and of course, I am advocating for that all the time. I think that we need to balance the federal budget now. That is a $1.4 trillion reduction in federal spending, and that we need to abolish the IRS, income tax, corporate tax, tax withholding, and, of course, that would be the fair tax. As you're well aware, as everyone is really aware listening, ends up being cost neutral over a very short amount of time. It's really the answer when it comes to American goods and services for export. It's the answer to China, and it's really the answer when it comes to jobs, because in a zero corporate tax rate environment, if this country doesn't create tens of millions of jobs, I don't know what it's going to take to create tens of millions of jobs. I see all those manufacturing jobs coming back to the United States.
Well, Governor, you are so correct, and we are so pleased to have you. You're one of the candidates that's probably one of the best versed on H.R. 25. We've had some questions relative to the recent decision on Obamacare and the tax. Do you have any comments on that, sir?
Well, just that how many times have you taken your kids out to dinner, and at the end of the dinner you said, you know what, kids, I want you to pick up the tab? Well, never. And our parents never did that to us. And yet, what is it that we're doing right now to young people? Aren't we telling them that we're going to retire, we're going to have health care, oh, and by the way, you're going to pick up the tab and you're going to work the rest of your life to pay for this. You're never going to retire. And now, on top of that, we're going to add President Obama's health care plan. I really think that it's a torpedo in a sinking ship, the sinking ship being the United States. The fact that we're borrowing and printing money to the tune of 43 cents out of every dollar. But this health insurance plan is reliant on those that are healthy paying for those that aren't so healthy. Well, as a group, we're talking about young people. So at a minimum, you're going to have to pay that $3,000 penalty, which is being declared a tax, but you're going to have to pay that $3,000 penalty at a minimum to not even have health insurance. I just think that we should have brought about free market reform when it comes to health care. I still think we have that opportunity. I'd like to see it repealed, but short of repeal, let's start seriously looking at reform that could bring this in line with genuine free market approaches for health care. I think the future of this country is really at stake because of the added cost of this program. I just both the other. By the way, John, I am the Libertarian candidate for president. I'm going to be on the ballot in all 50 states. There are only 3 candidates that are going to be on the ballot in all 50 states, Obama, Romney, and myself. And the other 2 candidates have both been about government-sponsored health care. The template for President Obama's health care plan was Governor Romney's health care plan in Massachusetts. So I just don't see anything changing going forward, and I think that unless we get our spending in line, that we're going to experience a monetary collapse. And a monetary collapse, very simply, is when the dollars that we have don't buy anything. And it's not something that the government is going to announce. The government is not going to announce that 2 weeks from Thursday there's going to be a monetary collapse. So take all the money that you have and buy everything that you can, because 2 weeks from Thursday, money won't be worth anything. That announcement doesn't take place. It just happened. It's a bond market collapse, and the money that we have, like I say, doesn't buy anything. We are not immune from the mathematics of what we're doing, which is borrowing and printing money to the tune of 43 cents out of every dollar that we're spending.
Well, absolutely, Governor, and we certainly agree with your position on that. If you don't mind, since you're limited tonight on time, I wonder if we might get started with some telephone calls. I know a lot of people would like to ask questions. Are you up to that, Governor?
Absolutely. That would be terrific.
Okay. I have a caller here. Looks like a Chicago prefix, 708 area code. And who's on the line, please?
Hello, it's Marilyn. How is everyone tonight?
We're fine, Marilyn, and welcome, and happy 4th of July. I'm sure you have a question or two to ask Governor Johnson.
Yes. Governor's been around lots of people, and I've been working on fair tax for lots of years. What astounds me is what I call the Titanic syndrome. It's like we're heading towards the iceberg, but people just don't see it. Do you have any advice on how we can tell the people that the iceberg is out there and we're headed right for it?
Marilyn, I couldn't agree more. And then when you start talking about the mutual sacrifice that we're all going to have to be a part of to save this, and to save our country, when you start talking about this mutual sacrifice, I think people glaze over a little bit. When you start talking about a 43% reduction in Medicare spending, pointing out that the alternative is no Medicare at all, I think people are just really in disbelief and refuse to acknowledge the reality. And epitomizing that refusing to acknowledge reality would be our entire political class that has its head in the sand over what is going to transpire unless we actually fix this.
Marilyn, did you have any further question of the governor?
Any chance of you running for vice president?
Well, I am running for president of the United States. I'm running for president. I'm a Libertarian nominee. My vice presidential running mate is Jim Gray, who is a former Superior Court judge in California, a former federal prosecutor, very outspoken regarding the war on drugs, and just a terrific all-around guy who, taking seriously the fact that I could be the next president of the United States, he is more than capable of stepping in and becoming the president of the United States.
Thank you for that, Marilyn. And Governor, I had the pleasure of meeting Judge Jim Gray, and I will attest to it. He's a marvelous man, and like you, so very well informed on the issues, and we really appreciate your straight answers on questions. I have another caller here. Let's go to California. Let's go to 760 area code. Good evening, 760. Your name and where you're calling from, please.
Well, John, this is Nancy. I am
Nancy,
760.
Good evening.
Okay. Governor and Marilyn, I would like you both to know that something is truly happening, relevant to your first question, too, Marilyn. I just spoke with my daughter this evening, and somebody contacted her on Facebook, a friend of hers that she hasn't spoken with for a bit. And I forget the exact message he gave, but he was extolling, he's from another country and is now a citizen, and extolling that how wonderful July 4th was and independence. And my daughter's 38, Governor, and somehow she can look the other direction. She's a very bright young lady, but she's from that generation that really has just believed that, no, nothing can really happen. We're just going to be just absolutely fine. And she knows what an activist I am. But for the first time, she realized, and we even talked about it a little bit, of this is not just another holiday, that there really, truly is a reason why we are free and how important that is to our culture. So with you as a libertarian, I thought, oh, my goodness, I have to share this with you. And Marilyn, believe it or not, when you least expect it, I guess we just keep trying. And maybe it won't be us that says something, but maybe it'll be somebody else that just drops a hint their way.
Nancy, I think that is profound, and I would like to I'd like to say that our the words that I'm associating with my campaign is live free. Now, for any young person, for anyone that asks me, how is it that you can become free? What are the bedrocks of freedom? Well, it's civil liberties, and it's us being able to make the choices. I am pro-choice on everything. These are our choices. And then when you talk about live free and you talk about individuals, I always tell anybody that wants to hear it, you have to get yourself out from under debt. If you're going to truly be free, you can't owe anyone any money. And I think everybody recognizes that. And yet, as a country, we continue to rack up absolutely unsustainable debt that does have a consequence, and that consequence is what we have to deal with right now. And if we don't deal with it right now, we're not going to find ourselves celebrating any more 4th of Julys. We're going to find ourselves in a situation that is going to be horrible. The shelves will be bare because money won't buy anything. And all you have to do is just look at the Soviet Union in the late 80s for the last great power to undergo a monetary collapse. But throughout the history of mankind, this is what does happen. This is the consequence of what we're doing.
Well, thank you, Governor, and thank you, Nancy, for that great question. Governor, we have a caller here from the 530 area code. Caller from the 530 area code. Your name and where you're calling from, please.
Hi, John. Jim Donnell calling in. Can you hear me?
Jim, I can hear you fine. What question did you have for the Governor this evening?
Well, first of all, Governor, thank you so much for your service and for running. I appreciate the principles. I appreciate everything you're doing. The question that I have is, clearly we, for the most part, are a two-party system. And I think it's unfortunate, but it is what it is so far. I'm wondering, how do we break out of this two-party Republican-Democrat system into, including others? And secondly, and it's kind of a related question, is I think there's fear, probably unfortunately not in California, but in other states, that, a vote for a third party may take away a vote for whether it be a Republican or Democrat, which tends to keep us in the two-party system. And I'm just wondering in your perspectives on that, because I'm completely in line with all your views.
No, I think, Jim, I think you hit it right on the head. But the way out of the two-party system is actually voting for a candidate who is a viable third-party choice. And I'm going to suggest that I'm that viable third-party choice. I'm going to be the only, and when I say only candidate, on the ballot in all 50 states with Obama and Romney. I'm the only one that doesn't want to bomb Iran. I'm the only one that wants to get out of Afghanistan now, bring the troops home. I'm the only one that's talking about marriage equality as a constitutionally guaranteed right. I want to end the drug wars. I want to abolish I want to repeal the Patriot Act. I want to balance the federal budget now, today. I'm going to submit a balanced budget to Congress in the year 2013. That means addressing reform of entitlements, Medicaid and Medicare. That means reducing military spending, believing that that is the greatest threat to our national security, is the fact that we've spent ourselves into bankruptcy. So there is a third choice. I'm presenting that is me, and for those that are listening, I know that you're listening to what I'm saying. I would just make an appeal that you get on my website or Google Gary Johnson and see what you come up with. See if what I'm talking about hasn't been my resume, and that there is nothing in my resume to suggest that I'm not going to doggedly pursue what it is I'm talking about. Jim, your point about throwing away your vote because you vote for a third party, I would argue that perhaps voting for Perot when it came to Clinton and Bush perhaps led to a balanced budget under Clinton, perhaps led to national attention regarding spending at that time. I would like to think that my candidacy right now, if it doesn't result in my winning the presidency, that at a minimum I might be on the debate stage with the two of them talking about issues that I think really resonate with most Americans. I think most Americans are in the category of being fiscally responsible and socially accepting tolerant. I'm in that category. I'm speaking with a broad brushstroke, but I don't know how that really gets represented by either of the two old parties. I plan at coming at Democrats hard from the left, challenging them on civil liberties. I plan at coming at Republicans hard from the right, challenging Republicans on spending and spending less. I did serve 2 terms as governor of New Mexico, and one of the things I got noted for was I may have vetoed more bills than the other 49 governors in the country combined. I think we need to have somebody in Washington, I think we need to have a president of the United States that's willing to say no when it comes to spending. That we need a president that's going to cooperate when it comes to enhancing our civil liberties, not taking them away.
I agree completely. I think so. By the way, I am a fiscal conservative, a social moderate. Almost all the people I talk to and know, fall more into that range, which is kind of right in the middle of the two parties, and probably pretty close to the Libertarian, views. Another quick question, if I might, and that is, are you going to be able to be on stage with Governor Romney and Barack Obama in the debates? And if not, is there anything that we as listeners can do to help make sure that you are there?
Well, listeners can help me out a lot by actually getting on my website, Gary Johnson 2012. We've got a list of all the 18 polling organizations and their phone numbers. If I'm in the polls, Jim, I'm going to be in the debate. Right now, there are only 2 polling organizations that are including my name, and when my name is in the polls, I'm at a low of 6%. I'm at a high of 15%. So that goes a long way toward getting me in these debates. And I would just also like to add that so many people talk about gridlock in Washington and that we need to get along in Washington. Look, getting along in Washington, in my opinion, is just code for how are we going to spend money. And we need to stop spending money, but we need to concentrate on why we're celebrating the 4th of July. It's about the fact that we are a free nation, but we're becoming we're moving further and further away from being a free nation. We're becoming a police state, all in the name of, I'm not sure what, health and safety. And, well, you know what? That isn't why my dad paratrooped into Normandy before the D-Day invasion. He didn't do that for Medicaid or Medicare. He did that because of the notion that we are a free people.
Well, thank you, Governor. Another great answer. And, Jim, thank you for the question. I'm going to keep it moving right along here because the Governor's time is limited. I have another caller from the 423 area code. Caller, your name and where you're calling from, please.
That would be me, John, Bill Payne, and I want to thank Governor Johnson for coming back on the show.
Bill?
Pardon?
Where are you calling from?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm calling from Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Okay, great.
And I want to thank Governor Johnson for coming back on the show. I was just really tickled when I heard you were going to be back, and it means a lot to have you come back to the show the second time. And actually, I could keep you busy for a while with questions, but in the interest of time, actually, I had a couple questions, but I'll ask you the one I think that maybe the briefest one. I read something today that on July 27th, our President and Secretary of State will sign the UN Small Arms Treaty. And I'm wondering what kind of input you would have on that subject.
You know, I have no idea what the Small Arms Treaty would entail. So that would you're talking to somebody who doesn't know.
Okay. Well, maybe I can ask you my other question then.
Yeah, good.
As president, how would you go about educating the public on the fair tax, and also how would you go about coercing Congress to get it passed?
Well, I think first off, if I'm elected president, I am advocating all these things. I am advocating the fair tax. So who's got their wind at their back when it comes to tax reform? And so I'm the only candidate that wants to abolish, of course, the fair tax, abolish the IRS, abolish income tax, abolish corporate tax, abolish tax withholdings. I'm given the opportunity right now to talk about this all the time, and it resonates. People love the notion. They're checking it out. I have to think that I'm having an impact on growing the notion that of acceptance of reforming our tax system with the fair tax. So I think there's a real opportunity to be a leader. That people really are hungry to elect a leader, and a leader is somebody who's going to do what they say they're going to do, who is going to advocate and who's going to take on the debate and the discussion over all these issues. Imagine how contentious a budget document is going to be, reducing government spending by $1.4 trillion immediately. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to take on the debate and the discussion, and I'm not going to back down from seeing that happen. I'm going to promise to veto any legislation where expenses exceed revenue, and if the Congress cares to override, I'm going to suggest to you that spending will be lower I'm going to suggest to you that by keeping the two promises that I'm making, to submit the balanced budget and to veto appropriations that exceed revenue, that spending will be lower with those two promises kept than any other two promises. So this is why I'm running. I think Obama runs on change, but where's the change? There's no change whatsoever. It's just more and more of the same.
Agreed.
Okay, Bill, did you have any further questions of the governor?
Well, again, just wondering how you would go about working with Congress on the fair tax, but I know that you can only have so much influence there. But again, I think the big part of it is going to be getting the public to back it, and so that they will literally demand of their congresspeople to get that passed.
Well, you're exactly right, and we need a leader that is not going to back down from the debate and the discussion, and it's not going to be easy. But look, you can't quit. I was really disappointed when Bush was talking about Social Security reform and being able to self-direct Social Security funds immediately the water got a little warm. You know, I would have thought that debate would have gotten boiling. The water just got a little bit warm, and he pulled out of it. Well, that's not why we elect a president. We're electing a president that's going to stand in that boiling water and not quit.
Well, Governor, you're so right, and I want to really compliment you. You have done a great deal for fair tax. I put you in a category with somebody that I admire and respect very much, and you're one of those people, by the way, Governor Mike Huckabee. And I think as far as fair tax advocates go, I put you in that same category. You've been really sensational as far as promoting fair tax. With that, I know your time's limited. I want to move on to our next caller. Caller in the 361 area code. Your name and where you're calling from, please.
Hey, John. This is Robert Williams from Corpus Christi, Texas.
Okay, and you have a question of the governor.
Not really a question, just a comment. Appreciate everything he's doing for the fair tax movement, and I really hope we can work to get you in office and get the fair tax passed. That's that's what America needs, and I'm glad that you, for one, see that, and I wish you the best of luck. So much.
There you go. All right, thank you very much. I'm afraid that I'm going to have to get off here. I'm up against another interview, and I can't thank you enough for having me on, and I hope to be on a bunch more.
Well, Governor, thank you so very much. We're so pleased that you were able to spend time with us this evening. We appreciate it very much. We hope we'll have you on again, and happy 4th of July, and we'll let you go right now.
All right, and again, thank you so much for your activism. We're gonna change the world here.
Thank you for yours. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. All right, bye.
Bye. Okay, everybody. Let's Bill, what did you think of the governor this evening?
Well, I just think he's great, and I think he's I think he's a man's man. I think he's a president's president. And just my own personal opinion, in the absence of any viable candidate that fits the bill, he's the one. And I just hope America comes to its senses. I hope we can get him into the debates, and I think that will have a huge impact on everything, and will hopefully direct some attention to, again, as he's been saying quite a bit lately, the alternatives. There are more than two choices, and as a citizenry, we all need to learn about all the choices and make the proper ones in order to keep this country going right.
Well, that's a very good observation, Bill. As you know, I had the pleasure of meeting Governor Johnson in Las Vegas not so many weeks back. I will tell you, a very, very impressive man. And when he indicates he would be a leader that would be tireless and with great tenacity, he's the real McCoy. Any man that could climb Mount Everest with frostbitten toes. He's climbed Kilimanjaro, Mount Whitney, 3 times a triathlon individual. I mean, he's a great athlete, did a great job for the state of New Mexico, took him from really a lot of red ink and put him into a $1 billion surplus after 2 terms. I think that's absolutely fantastic.